they give you that final little oomph at the end. Boom! Scared the crap out of you.
Wow.
Well, good evening, everybody.
Yes, welcome to TTABA, The Unexplained.
And Paranormal Talk.
Yes.
We haven't done one of these in a while.
And what's the difference between TTABA, The Unexplained, and The Truth About Beer? And
Absolutely nothing.
not really.
It's the same. It's the same thing.
Have a different background.
Yeah.
But
Truth About Beer was our original name.
yes.
And it's still The Truth About Beer and The Unexplained. Just shorter. It's easier for people to type out.
Yes, and to find us. And so, of course, we still continue to feature beer.
Yes. Yes. We do. Say hi to everybody on
Yeah,
tonight.
let's
Christine
do
was the
it.
big winner tonight. She was on first
Christine.
at 3:00 this afternoon. No, I'm just kidding. But she was on early. So, yeah.
And hello, Wendy. Wendy.
Aragon Stories. Kathleen.
And hello to you.
I cannot read that. We'll say hello because I'm blind as hell, so I can't.
Yuki.
All
I
right.
guess
So
there's a you.
Huh?
Yeah, maybe.
if you could read that, God bless you, because I can't. So, and I have my glasses on. So,
Yeah, I don't know what. I know that it's Asian of some sort, but my son-in-law speaks and reads Mandarin. So if it's in Mandarin, he could read that. Hey, Bick.
I wouldn't be able to read it. So yeah, so we got a beer we're going to feature. It's been a couple of weeks since we've been on, so it's good to be back, kind of itching and get back in the saddle again. So it's going to be fun.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, let's bring on the guru of the suds, Mr. Jeff Stay.
Hello.
Cheers, fellas.
Hey. Cheers.
Yo.
Your can looks more colorful. Is it those fine lights you have going on
Oh, it's like
behind you?
same
I guess it
cans.
is.
Should be.
Yeah, it is the same can.
How you guys doing?
Good. How you
Good,
doing?
man.
I am doing good.
We've been talking about this beer for quite a while.
We have. I don't know why it took us this long to do this one because, like I've mentioned multiple times, this is easily one of my favorite beers, if not my favorite beer. This is.
Well, I do want to tell you something.
Beer. Yes,
So
please.
I made a pact with myself and Lindsay for this month that I was going to cut out alcohol for 30 days. But then I'm like, this is Jeff's favorite beer. So I have to try a little bit of it. I probably won't drink a whole beer, but I'm going to try
All
something.
right.
So
I'll finish it up.
Joe will finish it off for me.
I apologize and I appreciate that.
No,
That's
you're
all
good.
right.
You're good.
Because I do recall in January, you were not drinking. You were just telling us about beers yourself.
Right.
Exactly. I did it to you guys, so it's only fair you do it to me.
Well, I'm not gonna.
I was so young and naive back then. What the hell did I know? I still have a dad bod. It's not like going a month without drinking did any good for me.
Well, I just said I'm stupid, but hey, I'm trying it.
Nah, it's always good to mix it up.
We'll make it a nice hefty pour.
Doing a little system detox, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
All right, so what we got?
Head on there. Yeah, all right. So this is Wasatch Brewing's Ghost Rider White IPA. So a few things. Well, actually, you know what? You've already poured. I've poured. Let's just drink and then we'll talk about it.
All right.
So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
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 There you go. I was going to say that was a bad clink. Wow.
I love that.
That's surprising.
Yeah. That is good.
So now we'll talk about what it is. So the beer itself, so a white IPA it's basically a mix between, of course, an IPA and a Belgian wit. So you have your wit beers, so your Hoegardens, your Blue Moons. Think of that. It's basically that mixed with an IPA together. And that's where you get a white IPA.
That's interesting.
So you get the coriander, you get the citrus peel, you get all of that, the wheat from the wit beer, although wit means white, not wheat. But you get the wheat in there, but then you get all those hops on top of it. And this one in particular is a dry hopped one. So you get more of that hazy IPA, and it's unfiltered. So really, if anything, this is basically a New England IPA, a Belgian wit mixed together.
A wonderful marriage.
Where does the pine?
Yeah,
come
that's
in?
what I'm curious. The pine. I think I'm not sure if that's what I'm
Tasting.
tasting.
I was tasting the coriander, I think, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think the pine, I think, is just one of the, which hop is it? One of them, because they use the Simcoe and the Cascade hop in this, and I can't remember which one can bring on the pine flavors, but yeah.
So it's 45 IBUs, not very potent.
That's kind of
That's
No,
kind of
yeah.
in the middle.
So that's the wit side of it really tames it down.
right.
So more about this one in particular, though. So this is Wasatch Brewing. So a couple weeks ago we did Squatters that we talked about. So Squatters started in Salt Lake in 1989. Wasatch started in Park City in 1986. This was actually Utah's very first microbrewery.
Okay.
And so they started in, like I say, Park City, but then in 2000, Wasatch and Squatters formed a beer cooperative, essentially. But they keep separate branding, separate beers, all of that. They just combine their canning and a lot of their distribution. But anyway, so Wasatch it's just a classic in Salt Lake City, all throughout Utah. They have their brew pubs, they've got all their beers. But so they had the Ghost Rider White IPA a number of years ago. And it was a different label. It was in a bottle, and just no one really knew what it was. It's kind of my take on it. I didn't, because they obviously switched up. So here's my assumption. I couldn't track anything down to back this up, but they had that for a number of years. I always enjoyed it. And then all of a sudden one day I'm at the liquor store and it's in this can and it just says Ghost Rider IPA.
Mhm.
But it was right about the time that the hazy IPAs were getting really popular. And so that's all I can think of is no one really knew what a white IPA is. And still to this day, a lot of people just don't know what a white
Right.
IPA is. But if you say this beer is dry hopped, it's unfiltered, it's hazy, that just makes more sense to people.
Right.
And so it's really more associated with hazy. But it does say right on there, brewed with coriander. And so that's more on, like, say, the Belgian wit side, because those are going to be, you're getting more of the malted wheat versus just the malted barley. You're getting the coriander, you're getting the orange peel. Those are the things that always go into those wit beers. But yeah, long story short, I don't know why they took the word white off of it, the white IPA, because that is technically what it is. But there's
Right.
nowhere on their website, there is nowhere on the can, nothing that says this is a white IPA anymore.
It's become
To me, it's
infamous.
kind of a shame.
So
What's that?
Now it's become infamous by
Yeah.
going by Ghost
Exactly.
Rider now. So
And
everybody
they did
knows
say,
what it means.
I saw one of they called it a Belgian IPA. So I guess that would be one way of
Yeah.
saying a white IPA.
Right.
The Munich malt backbone. So that's going to be your wheat. They're using some malted wheat in there instead of just malted barley. I'm sure this one has both, though there's no way it's just malted wheat. Yeah, but anyway, I just love it. To me, the very first time I had it, I was like, this tastes like a Hefeweizen and an IPA. That's how I described it.
Right.
But now, and a wit beer and a Hefeweizen are so similar anyway. But yeah, so there you go. Just very citrusy, nice and crisp. But again, you get that nice hazy, unfiltered IPA. You still get a lot of the hops on the nose, but not, super bitter.
Yeah, this one I could drink a few of these before I'd be tapped out.
Yeah. And
a lot of
6%.
IPAs. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, as far as it's not like Budweisers and stuff where you can just keep pouring them back because they're so tame. I mean, that's all I'm saying is it's got great flavor, but it's still tame enough that I could probably do a few of these, and not.
It's a good hot summer day beer, I think.
Really is.
Yeah, not all IPAs are that way.
Right.
But, yeah, and the more I don't know about you guys, the more it kind of like sits in my mouth, I really start tasting more of the bitterness of the hops. And I like that. Kind of the sweetness washes away, and I'm just left with again, if you like the bitterness, which I know you guys do, but you get more of that hop. But as you're drinking it, it's much more of the coriander and citrus type stuff that's coming forward.
Well, that was one of the things I noticed right off the bat is the hoppiness didn't hit you right away. It took a little bit for it to hit. That's why I said it's really smooth at the first drink.
No, it's kind of in the aftertaste.
Yeah.
You go, oh yeah, it's there. But wow.
That's very good. You just keep outdoing yourself every time. You know that, right?
Well, this is the top. No, it's funny because there's other beers I'll drink and I'm like, oh man, this is my favorite one. But this is definitely one that I consistently go back to. And every time I buy it again, it's like, oh yeah, there's a reason I really like that beer.
Yeah.
It's just a really good balance. Because like you were saying, Joe, you can drink a few of them and it's not too much. Where there are some other IPAs, super hoppy IPAs that I enjoy, but I enjoy one of them, and that's it.
Right.
And I'm done. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we had more people hop on while you were telling us about this. Gentry hopped on, and
oh, right on.
And Mike the Naked Bigfoot.
That's I'm gonna go back up a little bit here, as we did.
And Derek,
Miranda Young.
I just
Miranda's
sent a few of
on
these
too, huh?
guitar pedals to Gentry, actually.
Yeah, so
Chattanooga.
So Miranda's going to be on next week. I'm sorry, but Miranda's going to be on next week. She's Ghost Biker. So, but this is Ghost Rider. So
exactly,
been the perfect beer for that one. But
yeah.
Well, you know, you can't always.
Jeff can't outdo himself.
Right.
No. Okay. That's what Gentry says.
Oh, I don't know. Oh. You're setting the bar kind of high now.
Well, they'll have to rewind and watch the description of it. But
right.
We won't run through all of that again. We will just drink and enjoy.
we like people going back and watching again. We enjoy.
Yes, and giving it a thumbs up and all the other fun stuff.
Subscribing to our channel.
Subscribe button.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Uh-oh.
What?
The comments are gone.
Oh, sorry.
I actually have 2 other white IPAs. So since I sent these guitar pedals to you fellas, there's another white IPA. So I actually had sent a couple of them to Gentry as well. Our buddy who just jumped on from Chattanooga. So there's another little Red Rock Brewing. That's who does the Griswolds. Remember that Christmas?
Oh, yeah.
That was really good.
Actually. Yeah. So they do one called White Rainbow. They have a white IPA. So I've got that one in my fridge. I've got these ones. And then I was just visiting my dad down in St. George, Utah, picked up some IPA from a brewery down there, got home and realized, oh, it's a white IPA. So all of a sudden, like I've got 3 white IPAs in my fridge at the same time. I was trying to, it's like, man, I need to get these to you guys, or the problem is I can't get the St. George ones easy. So I was trying to, but anyway, a blind beer taste test would be perfect.
Oh yeah,
that would be good.
But so I don't know. I don't know if like I say, it'd be tough to get the St. George ones to you because I'd have to drive 4 hours to get any more of them. Otherwise, I would have picked up extra. I didn't realize. I just thought it was an IPA because again, they don't advertise these things as white IPAs.
Right.
They don't make it real obvious.
I've just never heard it.
Yeah.
White IPA. Yeah.
Right. But I think your dad might be coming down middle of next month, possibly.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
All right.
Maybe I'll have him grab some. So
yeah, definitely. Well, I'll hang on to 1 can of that just in case he does. So I have one ready to go. And then the other one, like I say, is just it's same as that like Griswold's bottle I sent you. We can get that, but yeah, that would be fun. We could do a white IPA blind beer taste test.
That'd be fun. I
would like it.
Yeah.
And it'd have to be after you're off your
after my 30 days.
After your cleanse.
Exactly.
Yes. So we can arrange that. That'll go quick. 30 days goes quick.
Oh, it does.
I mean, geez.
Yes.
And I really want to burp with this one. I'm trying to hold it in. So this one is hitting me. I don't know why.
We should probably let you hop off anyway. So
all right. Well,
get
let's
back to your life.
Talk soon, and we'll figure for a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, definitely.
We'll do one, and maybe even a different blind beer taste test. I know we talked about that, so we'll have to figure out what we want to do in a couple weeks.
Cool.
All right.
Looking forward to it.
Right on, guys.
Well, as always, cheers.
Yes.
Yeah, cheers, and thanks for having me on.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right. See you around.
Take it easy, Jeff. All right, bye. It's pretty good. Not
That
bad.
is good. I like it.
Yeah, it's pretty yummy.
I do like it.
Not too shabby.
Yeah.
He really does come up with some good beers. Like I don't even like to pick beers anymore because he comes up with the better ones. So, you know,
And the people in Total Wine think you're crazy anyway. When
they
you
do.
ask for,
They do. Yeah, because of some of my requests.
Yeah.
So, you have any beer that
Yeah,
resembles
the Black Plague beer.
You have a beer that resembles dead people. Yeah, I'm gonna get kicked out one of these days. All right, so hey, we got a good show for you guys tonight.
Can I just do one thing first?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah.
just wanted because I just really want to send out some thank yous to
Absolutely, 100%.
a lot of you that have sent condolences and well wishes my family's way. It's been an interesting few days, and we're getting through it. And we love y'all, and thank you.
Yeah, we have an amazing group. I mean,
Yes,
we
we
really
do. We really do.
I've seen a lot of the support coming through, so it's been really good.
Yeah. and Jason used to hop on the show quite a bit under the handle of Doggy James.
Yep.
So if you remember seeing comments from Doggy James, that was my son-in-law Jason, who won't be jumping on anymore, fortunately. But
we have to bring back one of his clips just for.
Yes, actually, him
bring it on.
and Wendy were on our first Hush show.
That's right. That's right.
They were our call-ins on the Hush show. So,
and I don't know. He threw me for a loop because until like 15 minutes in, I didn't even know. So I think you leaned over to me and said, "That's Jason." I was like, "What? Really?"
Yeah, because he was going by Doggy James.
Right.
Go,
Right.
well,
who is that? That's funny.
Yeah, it was good. Good times.
Yep.
Lots of fun memories. So, and just I love you guys and thank you so much. All right.
Whoa, kind of scared me there for a minute. So we are talking Paracon in Las Cruces. So it's going to be the subject of our shows for probably the next
Paracon.
Until Paracon, yeah. Until that happens.
Yep.
So we're excited about going there. And we're going to be having some speakers from the event on our Paranormal Talk show.
Yeah.
So,
kind of give you a little sneak peek.
Yep. And tonight we're going to kick it off with Soul Sisters Paranormal. We have Christy. Let's bring Christy on.
Hello, Christy.
How's it going?
Hi guys, how you doing this evening?
Good. Did you learn anything from our beer?
I did. I was like salivating. I wish you would have sent me one before the show because I feel kind of left out now.
It might have helped you in that lonely jail there.
Yeah. It is a very lonely jail at the moment.
So we're happy to have you on tonight. We're really excited about having you on.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
No problem. I really want the audience to get a chance to get to know you and your sister and what you guys do.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading some interesting stuff in your bio. I don't want to go through your bio because I'd rather you talk about it, but I did find it interesting that your group originally started with 5 members.
It did. So we actually started as a girls' trip. My sisters and I live in different parts of the country, and so we routinely get together and have like a really fun, unique experience. So in 2014, we met up in Moundsville, West Virginia, which is where the West Virginia State Penitentiary is located, and we had the opportunity to stay the night in that prison. And it was a very rudimentary investigation for us. It was our very first one, and it wasn't really organized. We just had some digital cameras, some voice recorders and such. And we came away from that experience with what we felt was compelling evidence. We heard footsteps, doors slamming, things running at us and through the darkness, men's voices when we were all females. And so that really intrigued us to the point that we wanted to really delve into this, both from a historical standpoint as well from a paranormal standpoint. And so we formed Soul Sisters Paranormal, and we started with myself, my twin sister, our younger sister, and then 2 female family friends. And we just decided to start going around the country to historic and reportedly haunted locations and really tell the historical narrative of those locations, as well as try to couple that with any paranormal activity that we could find.
Interesting. So growing up, did you guys have any experiences, or is this something you just decided to do later on in life?
Well, we've always had a belief in the paranormal. I wouldn't say that we had an aha moment per se where we saw an entity or anything like that, but we've always had a strong belief in the paranormal, and we would grow up watching shows, like Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters and such. But we'd always say to ourselves, why didn't they ask these questions, or why didn't they use this technique, or why didn't they stay longer here? And we always told ourselves if we had the opportunity to go on a paranormal investigation or to conduct one, that we would absolutely jump at that chance. And that really presented itself when we went to Moundsville that year.
Interesting. Now, are you all twins, or you just have one twin?
I just have one twin. So my twin sister, Jenny. And so, so as you said, we had that five member team,
Right.
last year, just for logistic reasons, just different things that was going on family wise. We did decide to go to a two investigator team, with just Jenny and myself. So the others will jump in when they can. But the core of Soul Sisters right now is just my twin sister, Jenny, and I.
So that answers so many questions, because I was going through your channel and I saw you went to Twinsville to that twins thing, and I thought, well, that's interesting, but now I know why.
Yes. Yeah. It's been on a bucket list thing for us to do.
Yeah.
It's, kind of cheesy, but we actually ended up having a great time. So if you're twins, I highly recommend hitting up the Twinsburg Festival at least once in your life.
Yeah.
Cool.
Did they have quite a few fraternal twins there too? I mean,
They had a
was that pretty
few.
much all?
Most of them were identical. I think the final count was 1,782 sets of twins, registered twins, for this year. I think their record high is 2,200 and something. But it was just a lot of fun. You get to meet other people, other twins, and we really did enjoy it. It was like I said, kind of cheesy, but we're glad we did it.
That's cool.
Yeah, I have twins, but they're fraternal. It's a boy and a girl, so of course.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean they were
But-
they were represented as well.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing for them. I don't know it'd be a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, it would be a
Right.
fun
To
thing to
witness.
watch.
Yeah.
Now, in doing this, because you guys were together for quite a good amount of time, the five of you, what did you learn about each other? Not having a paranormal background. I mean, I'm sure you learned a lot investigating together.
Mm-hmm. We did, we were always, my sisters and I were best friends. So we've always had that closeness. And then Cara and Kim, they've been family friends for years. So it really was something that we just really enjoyed doing together. And we all come from a research minded background.
Okay.
One of the things that also makes us unique is everybody on the team has an advanced degree. So I've got a PhD, Jenny has a PhD, Kim has a master's, and Cara and Michelle have JDs. And so we really approach a paranormal investigation from a research standpoint. We go in first, taking a day tour and really trying to see if we can account for some of the paranormal claims at these locations from an environmental standpoint first. So we take notes on things such as airline traffic, train traffic, car traffic, dogs in the neighborhood, kids in the neighborhood, that sort of thing, to see if we can explain away some of the activity that's been reported. And then we, again, really try to go in with a healthy skepticism, if you will, of all of the locations that we go to. And then when we go in and we control for all of the things that we can, what we're left with is what we call the unexplainable. And so we've just been very fortunate when we go to these locations to really find things or capture things that we truly legitimately cannot explain in the moment.
Do you have any like ritual things that you do prior to an investigation? And I know most people or most investigators do have their rituals they do after an investigation, to make sure nothing follows them home and all that. But do you have any things that you do prior to?
Well, from a spiritual standpoint, we do say a prayer of protection before we go in, and we'll say a prayer of protection when we come out. Again, just to your point, we just don't want any entities to follow us home. And we do set boundaries when we go into these locations as well. We'll make it very clear that we're not there to provoke, we're not there to antagonize or to cleanse a location, if you will. But we're legitimately there to tell the story of any entity that wants to speak with us. And if you watch any of our our videos, that's routinely what we say. We're here to tell your story. Will you allow us to do that? So we really go in with that feeling of representing the paranormal community as those people that respect the entities that we're trying to communicate with, because we do feel that you have to go in with a mindset of respect, respect them for the humans that they once were. And I think because of that, it really allows us to be successful in capturing paranormal activity, because I think when you give that respect, you get that respect.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
Now, do you, in your investigations that you've done, do you feel that being an all-female group, do male spirits tend to gravitate toward you more, or female spirits?
It really
Or-
depends. It really depends on where we're at. We feel that we get a lot of child activity. And I think that is because we're an all-female team, not to disparage, a co-ed team or an all-male team, of course. But we go in with a different I guess empathy, if you will, and just females have that innate sense of empathy. So when we go in with that, I think children gravitate towards us, and we really get down on a child level if we know that there's a child spirit there that we're trying to communicate with. So we get a lot of spirit activity. If we go into a place like Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary or Moundsville, West Virginia, we do feel that we get male activity from a different standpoint, right? Again, because we're not going in and antagonizing or provoking, more of a curiosity. Our hair gets pulled a lot in prisons. I think we get different responses than a male team would. Some have been extremely interesting, again, because we're that all-female team in a predominantly male environment. But when we go to places like the Villisca Murder House or the Lizzie Borden House, I do think that we were able to contact, a child spirit in both instances, as well as the predominant female spirit in both of those houses.
Yeah, and I know we've talked about that in great length in the past, that men tend to go in, to these investigations all macho and start yelling and doing all this thing, and women just tend to be more nurturing, more caring, more loving. And I think like you said, children would gravitate that, other females would gravitate to that. So I was just curious about that.
Right.
So
and you're absolutely right. We never go in with a sense of bravado. It is one of those, we go in and say, we're here to tell your story. Will you allow us to do that? And, as I said before, I think it just allows us to get a richer variety of paranormal activity.
So talk about your first investigation you guys all did together.
Well, that would have been Moundsville, West Virginia. Again, very rudimentary, some night vision video cameras, some voice recorders, digital cameras. And it really was kind of guided by what we had seen in popular media at the time. So kind of the same techniques, kind of the same questions. And that experience, like I said, was fascinating because, I don't know if you've been to Moundsville, but the second story there in that large front area is the infirmary. And so it's on the second floor, and it's accessed by these two on either end, by two concrete and steel staircases. We had complete control of the environment. There was nobody else there in that area. But we were saying things like, come up and take your medicine. It's time to see the doctor. And we captured very clearly footsteps running up the stairs, to the point where we thought something was going to materialize out of the darkness in front of us. So that was extremely fascinating. And it's one of those things where we wanted to run towards it to see, what was causing that, or if we could explain that away, and we couldn't. So again, that really led us to moving into a more professional take on paranormal investigations. And when we returned to Moundsville a couple years later, we were armed with different tools and different techniques. We've become really good at trigger items, which we really pride ourselves on finding things that are unique. So for example, in that location, the second time we went to Moundsville, there's a report of a spirit from a guy by the name of Red Snyder. And he was the leader of the Aryan Brotherhood. He was in jail for multiple murders. He was in one of the solitary confinement cells, and he had two vices. The first one was tobacco, and the second one, Days of Our Lives. He would watch Days of Our Lives every day. So they would wheel a television in front of his cell. And so because of that, because we do a lot of prior research before we go to these locations. So what we did in that in that instance is is I downloaded an episode of Days of Our Lives onto a laptop and we let it run in his cell for an hour and just let him have that experience of being alone with that episode of Days of Our Lives. And again, because of that, I feel that we were able to communicate with him. We had some great EVP sessions afterwards, a great K2 meter session afterwards. So every investigation that we go to, we learn something that we take into the next investigation. So starting from Moundsville, again, very just rudimentary and a small investigation has really led us and propelled us to what we do now.
Right.
So have you found that your equipment list has shrunk, or has it grown since you started?
It's
Did you-
grown. It's kind of like you just can't, why have one night vision camera when you can have 12? It's kind of like tattoos in that way. When people investigate with us, when we collaborate with other investigators, we do get the comment every now and then, you've got a lot of equipment. For us, it sometimes feels like at some of these locations, it may be our only shot. It may be the only time that we go cross country to the Villisca Axe murder house, or, up north to the Lizzie Borden house. And we want to make sure that we have eyes and ears on much of the locations we can.
Right.
And so it may seem like a lot, but it also allows us to capture, again, what I feel is some very compelling evidence because of that.
So do you have a favorite piece of equipment that you like to use?
For us, it is absolutely the voice recorders. I think that an EVP is what I would consider the purest form of paranormal activity that we can capture. For us, when you go into a location and you've controlled for everything that you can control for, and you're an all-female team, yet you're capturing males' voices or female voice or child voice. That's very hard for me to debunk and very hard for me to explain. So for us, the voice recorders are our best piece of equipment. After that, I really enjoy the spirit box. I know there's controversy. Some like it, some hate it, some love it. For us, we've captured some very compelling things on the spirit box that I cannot explain. So for me, I'd say the second after the voice recorders would be the spirit box.
When you were with all 5 of you on the team, did everybody kind of have their own tool that they prefer to use, or were you all kind of stuck on the voice recorders and the
Well, all of us have voice recorders. Like we all carry one on our person, and then we deploy several in different parts of the location that we're at.
Right.
So we all did rely on the voice recorders a lot. I know Jenny likes the REM pod and the K2. Those are her go-to pieces of equipment. Michelle was with me on the spirit box, and it really just kind of morphed per each investigation, right? So if we're going to one location and some of our equipment isn't alarming or showing any sign of activity, we'll move on to something else. And what we do when we go to these locations is we really like to validate one piece of a piece of equipment with other pieces of equipment. So for example, if I've got the K2 meter going off, yes, that's compelling to a point.
Right.
But if I've got the K2 meter going off and the EDI box is also alarming, and I've got something on the spirit box, that really just builds our case that something unexplainable is going on in this location. So we really don't rely per se on one piece of equipment. We always go in with multiple pieces of equipment to validate everything else.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, speaking of your REM pod,
I was just gonna go there too.
do you mind if I show a quick video of your REM pod that you have?
No, go for it.
It is freaking
I
awesome.
love it. And Wendy's going to
So
go like,
cool.
I want that.
Yeah.
Denny, pay special attention because it might be something Pam might want.
Let me know when you're ready. I'll switch over to it. I'll give you a minute to get
Whoops,
set up.
I
on
went
it.
too far, didn't I?
You went way too far on that one.
There we go.
There you go. All right. Oh, it didn't go over. How come?
Hey everyone, this is Christy Sumner from Soul Sisters Paranormal, and I want to show you something that's pretty interesting and unique. So I received a very special gift from Donald Martin of Southern Paranormal, and it was actually painted by Miranda Young of Ghost Biker Explorations, and this is a replica of the Soul Sisters Paranormal skull logo, icon, whatever you want to call it, but it's also actually our newest REM pod. So I want to thank Donald Martin from Southern Paranormal for making this for Soul Sisters Paranormal, this unique and one-of-a-kind REM pod. And I want to thank Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations for giving it the Soul Sisters Paranormal touch. Have a great night.
That is so cool. See, I told you Wendy would want one. So
Yeah, that's our very special REM pod, as I said in the video. Donald Martin from Southern Paranormal. He has started a company called Parapals. And so if you've got a fox that is your logo, or a bear, or pretty much anything, he can turn that into a REM pod. So, and we were one of the first that he did. And as I said, Miranda Young from Ghost Biker, she actually painted it with our exact logo. We've got several unique pieces or several unique symbols in our logo, and she was able to really nail it. So I absolutely love our REM pod.
And the lights are so bright.
Yeah,
in it, too.
that is
It's like
actually
so
cool.
brilliant. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, it's pretty awsome.
That was really cool. Everybody's in the comments going,
Yeah,
"That's freaking awesome. We want
Oh
one
yeah,
now."
yeah. Everybody look up Parapals or Donald Martin from Southern Paranormal. He's doing some really cool things.
What if they could do a beer mug?
He probably
Well,
can. He
that
can
could
probably
be
make
good.
one out of that beer can.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be a trigger object.
That would be a
too.
trigger object.
Mhm. Yeah,
That'd be-
yeah.
That would be interesting to check into.
Good thinking there.
See?
Make it
Yeah,
out of
there
a
you go.
six-pack, you know? A
I'm
whole
gonna tell Donald I
six-pack.
want a commission.
Yeah, exactly. I would.
So wait do you see the
10%.
one? Wait do you see the one that he made for Miranda? It's pretty awesome.
That's I'm excited now that we're just like, oh, that's awesome. That's really cool.
Mike wants a naked Bigfoot pod.
That'd be fun.
Dude, Bigfoot. Yeah. You could do that. That'd be easy to do. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah. So what's Wendy saying there?
Oh.
Well, yeah. So will you have that at Paracon with you?
I'll try to bring it. I'm not going to put it in check luggage. So if I can get through airport security with it, I'll bring it. I'm not going to trust it to the baggage handlers.
I wouldn't. Heck no. So I was watching a little bit of your episode about with the different bridges,
Mhm.
and I'm always fascinated with
Yeah.
bridges.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
They freak him out.
they do freak me out, but for different reasons, not because they're haunted. But talk a little bit about it, about the bridges and what led you to want to investigate them. I'm just curious.
So what you watched was actually a spin-off series that we're doing called Landmarks, Legends, and Lore, where we highlight different landmarks, legends, and lore, and not necessarily do an investigation at those bridges, but really talk about the local legends that surround, in that episode, bridges. We've also done one on cemeteries.
Mhm.
The last one that we did was on haunting aviation, where we looked at airline crashes that have a haunting legend behind them. And so that the bridges one was fascinating to me, simply because, when we go, most of the places that are highlighted in those videos, I actually go to and film. So just seeing some of those covered bridges, like the one there in Gettysburg, I went up to Maryland to one of the covered bridges up there, and I'm afraid of bridges. I have a phobia of bridges. So that was one of the reasons that led me to,
She's
to
your
do
soul
that one.
sister.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it really is one of those projects that we're working on that kind of brings a different local spin, if you will, to some of these legends that people across the country might not know about. So you might not know about the covered bridge in Gettysburg, or, if you're watching the one on cemeteries, there's a cemetery in Virginia. It's and there's a gravestone in there. It's dedicated to the unknown lady. And so to be able to talk about those, and not necessarily, like I said, do an investigation, but really talk about those and highlight them, so that people might be interested to either visit them or feel compelled to research them more. That's really why we're doing this type of series.
Right. That's cool. That's and plus you have a passion for travel and history, on your bio. I was reading about that. So that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. You can mix those two together.
Yeah. It
Well,
is
I
a lot of
think,
fun.
Yeah, I think history and the paranormal go hand in hand,
Mhm.
big time. I think the more you get into the paranormal, the more you find yourself getting more interested in history. So
Yeah. And well, for us, we've always had a love of history. So that really led us to the paranormal. And I feel that if you're a paranormal investigator, a legitimate paranormal investigator, you do have to have that love of history, because that's really why we're doing this. I get to have a very tactile experience with these locations, right? I get to walk up the stairs of the St. Augustine Lighthouse, or, you know, put my hands on a doorknob that Lizzie Borden touched, the Villisca axe murderer touched. And so that's something that you really, you really can't explain, and you really can't find out about in a history book. You know, to have that experience and to be able to bring that to our audience and to highlight that is something that we're extremely passionate about. So that's why when we do our videos, you'll notice that, you know, the first 2, 3, 4 minutes really highlights the historical narrative behind the location. And we feel we do that for a very specific reason. It's to really highlight that history and maybe promote it and preserve it, help preserve it. You know, if we can get tourist dollars to them, or just have somebody become aware of it and maybe research it more at their leisure, that's really why we're doing this.
And I don't know how it is back east, but I know here in Arizona, it's so, like, exactly what you just said. To preserve history is so important, because I know out here in Arizona, they're quick to take stuff down. They're quick to knock stuff down and make an apartment out of it, or make a hotel out of it, or whatever they want to put up. And, you know, it is, that's our group, that we focus on that. We focus on preservation and trying to keep these places around for, you know, for us to investigate. So that's really cool.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, I think that's really what paranormal investigators bring to the table. When we go out to the Las Cruces Paracon, the topic that I'm going to be speaking on is paranormal tourism and historic preservation. And it's fascinating because in April of this year, I was asked to present to Arkansas State University on this topic. So what I did was I actually did a survey of paranormal investigators, locations that report to have hauntings, and then ghost walk tour operators, and to really see where paranormal tourism is. And you know, this community as a whole really does provide a lot of, one, jobs, and two, it pumps money into the economy, not just the location that we're investigating, but all the things that we do outside of that, right? Going to historical societies, going to museums, or, you know, visiting other locations, bed and breakfast, hotels, that sort of thing. So, you know, paranormal tourism is absolutely a thing. And if people can capitalize on that, then we can preserve these locations.
Right. And before we started the show, you were talking about a little bit about the location you're in right now.
Yep.
I was gonna let you tell people about that too, because that was pretty fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am actually sitting in the historic Scott County Jail in Huntsville, Tennessee, and this is actually a location that Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations and I, we've teamed up, and we've rented this location, and from the town of Huntsville. And we're opening September 4th. We're opening to historical tours, as well as paranormal tours and paranormal investigations. And it is a drive to, one, preserve the building, and two, bring tourist dollars into this location. This is a fascinating building with a fascinating history. It was built in 1904, and it is the oldest structure in Scott County, and it has a past that's pretty bloody and very significant to the county. So again, we're going to open this business called History Highways and Haunts. And it's one of those things, again, to bring tourist dollars, but also to promote paranormal tourism. So we're very excited about what we're doing here.
That's awesome. That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Have you heard any more footsteps upstairs?
I haven't, but I'm trying to keep talking. So for those in the chat room, before we started, it's definitely something upstairs, even though I'm the only person in the building right now. So it's good to be virtually among people right now.
So everybody keep your eyes open.
Yep,
yeah, exactly. Anybody see anything running behind me? Please let me know. Raise your hand.
Something. Right? Yeah, we always kind of joke about it that back east has so much more history than we have out here, which in a way it's true, but there's just so
I would
much
say, written history.
Written history, right?
Yes.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, it's a little bit different. I can't wait to get out west. I lived in Colorado for a while, so I know that there's a lot of history out there as well. And again, just to see these locations and to be able to investigate them and attempt to help preserve them as well is truly what we do. So we're really excited about coming out to Arizona, getting to see a little bit different part of the country.
Yeah, we got a few places we can show you.
Yeah,
great. And then you guys got to come out here.
We
would love to do that.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for a year now about making a trip across the country, but we'll get there eventually. So I know our audience favorite question is typically, have you ever had a moment that just scared the crap out of the team or you personally?
Well, you know, a lot of the time, because we're so in the moment, and as paranormal investigators, you know this, you really get in the moment. We've had definite moments where we've been startled. I can honestly say we've never run out of a building screaming. We've never, run out of a room screaming. I'll give you two examples. The first one was at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, and this was a collaboration between Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations and Soul Sisters Paranormal. So it was myself, my twin sister Jenny, one of our investigators Kim, and then Miranda and her camera guy Josh. So we're the only 5 people on the property that night, and we had set up in the gymnasium. So we're sitting there, it's completely dark, but we have a few trigger items in the middle of the gym. We had a glow in the dark balloon, we had the REM pod, we had the EDI box, and a couple other things that just had those little ambient lights around them. And so we're back probably about 20 feet from all of the stuff that's in the middle of the gymnasium. And so Josh is filming Miranda, and she's holding an SLS camera. And so he's actually, coincidentally, he's focused on the SLS camera with his video camera. And as we're watching, you can hear us talking, and something runs in front of me and cuts off my line of vision to everything in the middle of the room. And at the same time, I say, did anybody else see that? Miranda's camera on the SLS camera, there's an anomaly that pops up on Miranda's SLS camera. And she said, I just saw this on the camera. And so as Josh pans back up, the shadow figure runs back across it again, and we all see it. So that was very interesting to us and very startling. And we captured that again on cameras. It was just really fortunate that Josh did that pan, because we were able to capture all that on camera. And then the second one that I'll mention, we were at the Grand Old Lady Hotel in Balsam, North Carolina. And again, this was a collaboration. So we had the entire hotel for the entire weekend. So it was just Jenny, myself, and Miranda. And the entire weekend, we were having just a variety of things happen. There was a table that was overturned. We were all in the kitchen, and we said, are you here? Can you give us an acknowledgement that you're here? The coffee pot turns on. So that was pretty startling. And then on Saturday night, we didn't. So there's 100 guest rooms in this hotel, a 3-story hotel. It was built in 1905. And so on Saturday night, we decided to sleep it's a suite of rooms. So there's actually 4 beds in here. It's divided, but it's one room that just has one door that goes into the hallway. So Miranda's in the inner room or the outer room, and then Jenny and I are in the inner room of this suite. So we all had voice recorders by our bed, and we had a night vision video camera on the inside of the door, and a night vision video camera on the outside of the door in the hallway. And so we had said our goodnight. You hear us say goodnight. And about 15 minutes later, there was a man outside the door. He said, please don't go. Captured it. Plain as day. We all heard it. Miranda said, what was that? I said, that's a guy outside our door talking. And she said, that's what I think it is too. But you can clearly see that there's nothing there. There's nothing in the hallway at all. Right. So that was extremely startling. But again, one of those things that we were so fortunate enough to capture that to us, it's actually exciting.
Right.
So where can everybody find this fine evidence? And watch it.
The best place to watch our videos is at www.soulsistersparanormal.com. We're also very active on Facebook under Soul Sisters Paranormal, and then our YouTube channel. Again, just search for Soul Sisters Paranormal. All of our videos are on there, all of our investigation videos, as well as the landmark legends and lore.
So make sure you guys go subscribe to their channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did today. I subscribed with this.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, this is probably the most fun part for us doing this is we get to meet new people and get turned on to new channels and get to see new evidence. So it's a lot of fun to do this.
Yeah, I agree. I love speaking about what we do and getting a different audience, and to your point, meeting new people. So I'm actually excited that we're going to meet in person here in a few weeks.
That's very exciting. That's going to be very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
So, what brought you and Miranda together? So how was that?
Actually, the paranormal. She has, we're always fascinated by teams that kind of have the same goal that we do, and that's the first to highlight the history, and then just really put out some compelling evidence, but not really say one way or the other. Oh, I think this is haunted, but really let the viewer decide for themselves what to believe on the video. So we were watching Miranda's video, her first season of Ghost Biker Explorations, and just the way it was produced, the professionalism behind it, really how she does her investigations, we were really taken with that. So I emailed her and said, congratulations on season 1. Really looking forward to seeing you on season 2. And so she emailed back, and we just started this email correspondence. And the first time we actually met was on an investigation in Henry River Mill Village in North Carolina.
That's
And
awesome.
so then we just became really good friends, and now we're business partners in this new venture here in Tennessee.
That's really exciting.
Mhm.
I hope I can get to that jail.
Yeah, you've got an open
Scott
invitation
County.
anytime.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That
That'd
would
be
be very cool.
We're always looking for new places to investigate.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and again, it's one of these ventures that it's going to have something for everybody. If you don't like the paranormal, just come and visit for the history, because like I said, we are doing a law enforcement museum, as well as a crime and punishment museum. And if you're not really into history, come for the paranormal, because I think we have a lot of that here as well.
Yeah.
I love museums. I
For,
do.
for the
No,
history?
For the history, yeah.
For the history,
I mean,
yeah. Yep.
Well, we've got some cool things. We put out an all call for anybody who had any law enforcement items that they'd like to loan or donate. And several people really stepped up and donated some very cool things that we just cannot wait to get on display here.
Yeah. That's cool. And they're all trigger items if you think about it. So.
Exactly.
Yep.
We actually had a gentleman reach out to us, and his buddy was because we're going to have a law enforcement memorial wall as well, and his buddy was a Tennessee corrections officer who was killed in the line of duty. So he sent very graciously his hat that we're going to put on display. So to your point, that all of that could be trigger items as well.
Right.
So is it going to be a flat fee for being able to come in, or is it a donation type of a situation?
No, we have a fee for investigations as well as for the general tours. We are a for-profit business, but all of that money goes to help pay our bills as well as help preserve the building.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
So, actually, first and foremost, I want to ask, what day are you speaking? You're speaking both days?
Both days. Yep.
Okay.
I don't have the time right offhand. Sorry,
Okay.
Vicki. I don't have the time right offhand, but I'm speaking on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay, cool. So people can catch you there. Miranda said something. Sorry, I've got terrible vision, so I can't see from where I'm at right now. Miranda says we're super excited about the museum and this new venture. I can't think of another investigator that I'd rather partner with on this venture than Dr. Summer. That's awesome.
Thanks,
Very
Miranda.
cool. So you guys do have a very special friendship.
Yeah.
That's cool.
We do. Yeah. It's like I said, it's one of those things we never would have met outside without the paranormal. So,
Right.
it's bringing friends together.
Yep. So what, how do I want to word this? So what bucket list items do you have personally?
Bucket list items for investigations?
Yes. Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah.
more descriptive
Well,
on it.
we can talk about my lifelong investigations all night. How much time do you have?
Oh, we got plenty of time.
This could be turned into a therapy session. No, just joking.
Right.
So as far as locations, my number one bucket list location would be Leap Castle in Ireland. I just think that the history behind that and just going to Europe to do an investigation would be just so much fun. And then after that, another international location that I'd like to get to is the Monte Cristo homestead in Australia. I've actually been there, but not as an investigator. And just walking into that place is just an amazing experience just for the history. So I'd like to investigate that. But also, here in the United States, there's just so many locations, outside of what I would call commercial locations like Brushy or Villisca, just those small locations that have a unique history and a story to tell. It always fascinates me that there's so many places that people even in the community don't know exist or know the history behind them. And if we can go to those locations and investigate them and bring that history to the forefront, that to me is extremely exciting. For example, I'm from Central Florida. And so in Marion County, in this little town called Ocklawaha, Florida, which is as small as it sounds, in 1935, that was the shootout of between Ma Barker and the FBI. And we were the first team to investigate that house, and you would have thought that we had just unlocked some type of time capsule. We had newspaper articles written about us. We were on radio shows about it. We had so many people in the community come up to us and say, I never knew that was here. Didn't know that in 1935 the entire nation's spotlight was on Ocklawaha, Florida. And we were able to do that just by investigating the paranormal. And so to be able to do that and bring that history to the forefront just for our community was just an amazing experience. So to investigate places like that is really what we love to do.
Right.
I bet there's a lot of hidden gems everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you just have to, it's really doing that deep research, that deep dive into, the archives and finding these locations, and then just talking to people in the community, and just asking questions. It's really an interesting way to meet people as well, because a lot of people want to tell their story. Those that are in the community and have longevity in that community, they love their community and want to talk about it. So just talking to those people, you really get to find some interesting locations.
And talk about people who know the history. Like you said, if they have longevity there, they know, they know about their town. They know about the different places. So that's cool. Yeah. We get that here.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. You brought up earlier lighthouses, and I want to touch on that for a second, just because I never found them creepy. I grew up with them, I never found them creepy until we just went to Alcatraz. And there was something about driving away from the island on the boat at night and seeing that lighthouse. Have you ever gotten any like weird feelings or anything around? I mean, obviously bridges, because you have a natural phobia of it, but same with me. But lighthouses, has that ever done anything?
Well, we've had the opportunity to investigate the St. Augustine Lighthouse twice. And just being in St. Augustine alone, I mean, we're talking about a city that was built in 1565. Right. And, the current lighthouse was built in 1879. So just that longevity and the history behind that, again, is fascinating. For us, we came away from both of those experiences what we felt was compelling evidence. The interesting thing about investigating a lighthouse is it presents a different challenge than any other location, because you have to go up, obviously, right, to get to the light tower. So be prepared to take a lot of deep breaths. But just going to those locations, we set up on each of the landings of the lighthouse with voice recorders and night vision video cameras, and we captured children laughing, children talking. We captured a woman's voice again when there was nobody else in that light tower. When we jumped over to the keeper's cottage, we had a very cool session with the K2 meters. We were actually smelling ambient smells such as cigar smells, which is one of the reports. There's a playground there on the grounds as well. And we captured a man's voice, which is interesting, a man's voice inside this little wooden structure on that playground. So for us, we didn't find it creepy per se, but we did come away from both of those investigations feeling that we captured something that we couldn't explain.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's always certain places that just give you, I mean, maybe creepy is the wrong word to use. I'm just kind of, you got to forgive me. I just get tongue tied. I'm not saying what I want to say all the time, especially I'm working on like 4 hours of sleep over the last 2 nights. So, but there's always places where you go up to it and it just gives you that vibe. You just get that feeling when you go up to it. So I was just curious about that.
Yeah. And that's the interesting thing. Again, when you see these locations on television, you really don't get the full scale or the full grandeur of what you're seeing, right, when you actually visit that. So, I mean, even the Villisca Axe Murder House, it's small. It's on the smaller side for an investigation location. But again, to go into that location and have that tactile experience with the historical narrative surrounding that house. It's just so different than anything you would ever see on television.
Right.
And, obviously television is going to sensationalize things and that's their role. That's their job. And so, but when you go into these locations and you actually get to sit in them, they're not so much creepy. I mean, we've never found them creepy per se, but more just fascinating for being in that location, if that makes sense, being in that environment.
Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like cemeteries. If you think about it, everybody thinks you go into a cemetery, it's going to be scary, right? And I know the experiences we've had in the cemetery, they've been few, but it was almost like very peaceful, and very serene, I guess.
Yeah, I've never felt creeped out or scared. Now there's some cemeteries that are really backwoods cemeteries that have a different vibe, but that's mostly for the living. You never know who's going to jump out. Some Bubba in a truck jumping out in some of these cemeteries. But I've never been to one where I've actually felt from the paranormal creeped out by that.
Right.
I think for me, it's tunnels.
Really?
Yeah. Tunnels freak me out.
Yeah, tunnels are interesting. There's some here in Tennessee that'd be interesting to investigate, train tunnels and such.
The abandoned ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Underground Railroad, all that. Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool to do. Is there any place that you just, we have places that we just continually go back to. Is there one place that you specifically just keep going back to investigating?
We've been to Brushy Mountain a couple of times, and that's always fun. Again, just because of the array of paranormal activity that you get there, everything from door slamming to footsteps to shadow figures and all of that.
Right.
So that's an interesting location to go to. I had the opportunity to go multiple times to the Ma Barker house. I did have a relationship with the county. Marion County actually owns it now. So to be able to go into that location multiple times was a great highlight of our paranormal career so far. And you really do kind of form a relationship, if you will, with the spirits in that location. So that was fascinating. But there are other locations that I'd like to go back to again, just because one of the paranormal activity that we captured, but also for the history of it. The Exchange Hotel in Gordonsville, Virginia. That location, if you've never been, I highly recommend it. It's absolutely fascinating. Fort Mifflin in Philadelphia, that's another location that I highly recommend. We've been a couple of times there. Again, the history behind that, but also the compelling evidence that we've captured there. Those are some locations that I would absolutely recommend.
And you answered my next question for me, because my next question was going to be, since you do go back, do you form that relationship with the spirits?
And do they know you when you come back?
Yeah, it was interesting for the Ma Barker house. That investigation was, again, just an amazing investigation for us, because it did have longevity. It ran over a couple of weeks, and then I actually became a docent with Marion County to lead tours there, historical tours. So when I would open that house, I'd walk in, hey Ma, hey Fred, and you would get responses. You would hear them, you would hear shuffling, and I think they do start to know you, especially as we talked about before, if you go in with that sense of respect as well. Just acknowledging them as the human that they were, not so much going in to provoke or anything like that, but just talking to them. They do. I think they absolutely recognize that.
Interesting. Vinny, with AZ Paranormal, had a question. Do you guys carry liability insurance?
No.
And then Aragon Stories had an interesting question. Are the bullets still visible at the Ma Barker house?
Not the bullets, but the bullet holes. So, okay. And just so everybody knows the backstory, in 1935, or prior to 1935, Ma Barker and her group of boys, the Barker gang, they actually joined up with a guy named Alvin Karpus, so it became the Barker Karpus gang. And this was the most prolific gang in the 1920s, early 1930s. And so in 1934, they actually moved from bank robbery to kidnapping, and they kidnapped two very prominent individuals. They released them when the ransom money was paid, but that really put J. Edgar Hoover on the trails of the Barker Karpus gang. So in November of 1934, the gang split up to try to throw Hoover off their trail, and they had Ma and Fred going to Central Florida, and they rented this house that belonged to a guy named Carson Bradford. Carson Bradford had no idea who they were. He just rented it to them because they promised a large sum of money to rent it. And so in 1935, January of 1935, J. Edgar Hoover ended up tracking them down to this house on January 16th, 1935, at about 5:30 in the morning. The FBI surrounded the house. They yelled for Ma and Fred to come out, and the response was gunfire. And after that, the longest FBI shootout in history ensued. It lasted almost 5 hours, and about 2,000 rounds was fired between the two groups. It culminated with Fred and Ma being killed in the upstairs bedroom of the house. After the shootout, the Carson Bradford and his family maintained the house as it was. It was still a vacation home for them, but they maintained it as it was in the shootout. So when you walk in today, the floors are all the original, the bullet holes are all there. There's furniture where you can move it and line up the bullet holes, like going through the back of a rocking chair into the wall.
Wow.
So the sconces are the same. Everything is the same except the windows. So it's an amazing house to go into, again, just from that historical perspective. But to answer your question very long-windedly, yes, the bullet holes are there. You can absolutely see that. They have pictures so you can see where Ma and Fred died. Interestingly enough, when Marion County ended up buying the house in 2016, and when they bought the house, they moved the house from its original position to a place about 2 miles away. They actually put it on a barge and floated it across Lake Weir. And they did that because the original family decided to sell it. The new owners did not want the house, so Marion County purchased it and moved it. So like I said, it's fascinating to walk in there and actually see where this shootout happened. So we were very fortunate enough to be able to be the first team to go in and investigate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm with Elbow on this. Are you reading? Are you reading stuff? Because
No, I'm just fascinated by this history.
I was like, do you have cue cards? How do you remember this?
So no, it's just a fascinating story. But when we did that investigation, the first night of the investigation, I wanted it to coincide with the anniversary of the shootout. So we went in on January 15th, and we left stationary equipment in that house. So we left voice recorders, night vision video cameras, some trigger objects. We actually pre-recorded questions on a voice recorder and hit play, and then we left. So we locked the house. The house sits on about 40 acres. There's no power. There's no water. You need a 4-wheel drive vehicle to get back to it. So we knew we had complete control of that environment.
Right.
And so we left the house, locked it up, and the cameras and everything ran until about 10 o'clock that next morning, which would have encompassed the hours of the shootout 84 years prior. And so when we went back and looked at that, all of that footage and listened to the audio, we were capturing things like door slams, footsteps. We captured male voices. And then we captured what I feel is a residual EVP. There's actually 2 EVPs. The first one said, Freddie. The next one said, yeah, Ma. The first one said, get ready. And I think that's a residual of what they actually said right before the shootout happened.
Wow.
And then we went back 2 weeks later. It was just Jenny and myself. We went back 2 weeks later and stayed the night in the house. And we were capturing, again, voices that we couldn't explain. We captured some interesting things on the spirit box. For example, one of the questions that I asked, we were up in the kill room where Ma and Fred were killed. We had the spirit box going, and I said, what happened in this room? And through the spirit box came this entire phrase. It said, they murdered us, we the ones dead. You can hear it plain as day, which is interesting. Wow. For a spirit box, right? Because you shouldn't get full phrases. So that was interesting. So again, it's one of those investigations where we were actually very fortunate to be the first to go in there and then really capture some amazing evidence.
Wow, that's crazy. 5-hour standoff too. That's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
and they used to do reenactments years ago. We would actually go and watch the reenactments. And I remember what I was going to say earlier, it kind of slipped my mind. But interestingly enough, when Marion County took over the house, they had their forensic unit go up into the kill room and use luminol on the floors, and they actually found the blood stains where Ma was body was found. So that was kind of
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's awesome. Christine says, have you ever thought of investigating a haunted amusement park like Lake Shawnee in West Virginia?
I'd love to get there. Absolutely. Yeah. That would be on my bucket list for sure. I would love to do
That's
an
one of my
amusement park.
bucket lists.
Yeah, it's a cool place.
Mm-hmm.
And then Wendy said you should come down to Tombstone, do the Birdcage Theater.
Yes. Again, all of these locations I would absolutely love to get to. Again, for us, it's kind of about logistics. As you know, as most people with paranormal investigations, this isn't our full-time job. So,
Right.
it's one of those things where logistically we just have to make the timing work.
We would love it to be our full-time job. It just hasn't worked out that way.
Right? If more people would subscribe to our videos.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Shameless plug.
Were you going to say something, Joey?
I was just going to go with the running joke about the birdcage.
Oh.
It's a great place to get some sleep. I fell asleep during that investigation. And
Those are interesting when you fall asleep on investigations. I'm not very good about doing that.
You seem like you have a lot of energy.
yes.
Oh, I try to. I really do get excited about being in these locations and actually trying to find some interesting, compelling evidence. Now, again, when you speak to Miranda, ask her about how she sleeps on investigations. It's quite fascinating.
No,
she might be my soul sister.
Right?
Exactly. She does that.
Exactly.
There you go.
No, it's interesting because we always talk about, the aura that you give off as an investigator has an effect on the spirits that are there. If you go in negative, it's going to be negative. If you go in positive and upbeat, then most likely you're going to get some interaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the things that we always try to do, again, have that positive energy. We don't go in looking for negative, or if we sense that there is something negative, we let it have its space and say, we've got other places in this location that we can go and investigate or do an EVP session or whatever. So if you want to speak with us, we're going to leave you a voice recorder and a night vision video camera, but this is your space and we're going to go elsewhere. So it's really not something that we engage with when we go to these locations.
So what's your thought? I've been watching a lot of videos lately and everybody's bringing up, I don't know if you noticed, but everybody's talking about demons lately. Have you noticed that? There's been a lot more conversation about that. So what's your thoughts on demons or just negative entities in general?
Well, for me, I think, like, for example, when we went into Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary or West Virginia or Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, there's a difference to me between dark energy and demons, right? So for me, a dark energy is something that was probably a bad person in life, right? So you find those in prisons. They weren't great in life. They're not going to be that great in death. But they're not something that for me that I'm scared of or afraid of at all. They're just a darker soul, a darker spirit,
Right.
and that's fine. For me, demons are those that never had a human existence. They never experienced that human existence. They're the evil and the good and the evil in the world. And so again, for us, it's not, I don't think we've ever experienced anything that I would call demonic. Yes, we've seen darker energy, especially at places like Brushy Mountain, but never anything that I would consider demon or demonic.
Has anybody in your group ever had an attachment?
No, again, and I do think it goes back to, again, that prayer protection and
Right.
also setting the expectation and the boundaries when we go in. We always say, you're not allowed to touch us. You're not allowed to follow us home unless we give you permission to touch us, like, pull my pant leg or touch my hand or something like that. It's one of those things that I think, because we set those boundaries and we go in again with that sense of respect, I'm going to respect you for your space here. You respect me by not touching me or harming me in any way, and you can't come home with us.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, no, we've never had an attachment.
Do you find any difference in investigating with just you and your sister now versus when it was the 5 of you? Is there any differences in that?
There is a little bit of difference. We don't have as many people to carry boxes, but other than that, being with the team of 5, it is such a great experience, right? Cara, Michelle, Kim, they all add something, a unique element to the team. And so that is a great experience with the 5 of us. And you get ideas, you can bounce different things off of each other. Jenny and I, again, she's my best friend. We're extremely close because we're twins and just because we grew up so tight. It's different when it's just the 2 of us because we do have a different connection. I'm not going to say that we're empaths per se, but we do have that connection on a twin level that not a lot of sisters or friends or siblings have. And so I think because of that, it does lend to a different and unique investigation style, right? We don't even really have to talk. We can just kind of know what each other's thinking or doing. It's different than having all 5 of us, but both experiences have been fantastic. The group of 5 and then just Jenny and I.
That's cool. I was just curious because the whole, the twin thing, if you guys did have that connection. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we do.
That's cool. That's very cool.
I do see with my twins having a connection.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
I was going to go with another question, but I totally forgot what I was just going to ask. So I have to get that question back. Good Lord, I hate when that happens.
When you bring up the demon thing, it always seems to spark a little
Side conversation.
Yeah, side conversation going on. Argument.
Oh, who's arguing?
We always have to pull them apart.
I know.
So,
have you, other than Miranda, have you ever done investigations with other groups? Have you ever teamed up with other paranormal groups?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, this last one that we just did a couple of weeks ago, we were in Poasttown Elementary in Ohio, and Sarah from Paranormally Blonde came with us, and then again Miranda. But it was just one of those things that really worked out, and so there was 4 female investigators that night, and it's a great experience if you can collaborate with another team, because you do learn different techniques, you learn different styles. We took a lot from investigating with Sarah that we're going to incorporate into our techniques now. And I think she took some from us as well. So the paranormal community is definitely interesting because you do have an amazing network of people that you can either reach out to or collaborate with or bounce answers or questions and answers off of. Even people that we haven't met, we feel that we can reach out to them and say, hey, have you experienced this? Or what would you do in this location? We've been fortunate enough to meet different people at Paracons or meet and greets. For example, we were down in Franklin, Kentucky a couple of weeks ago, and got to meet some great team members there. Pac-Man Paranormal and Beth Allen and all of these other investigators that were there, and friends came as well. So it was a really cool experience, and that's something that the paranormal community offers. So to be able to collaborate with different teams is a great experience that I highly recommend.
Yeah, I mean, you have your bad seeds in the paranormal community. There are other groups that are make a bad name for other people, but really, I mean, what we found in the short time we've been doing this is everybody we've come across has just been genuine. They really just they're out to help you. You learn from each other, and just like you said, it's just a great experience being able to collaborate with other people. So and to your point, you do have those people that go into this with what I feel is the wrong intention, for lack of a better term, and I think that's driven by popular media, right? And so you find these teams that go in and try to be the next Ghost Hunters or Zach or whatever, and it's really not like that. As it's not this investigation that is you've got the research and the investigation and everything culminates in 60 minutes, right? It's completely different from that. Right.
And so I think you've got these people that think that there is going to be some type of glory in paranormal investigations, and there's really not. That it's not something that you're going to be getting popular or getting monetary value off of. And if
Right.
that's the reason people are going into it, then that's completely wrong. So there are those that bring that down. But overall, if you really find that core group in the paranormal community, it's a great group to be involved with. I mean, completely welcoming and encompassing pretty much everything that I find that I gravitate toward, right? The love of history, the love of travel, and the love of paranormal and the love of adventure. So just a great group of people.
That's a great answer, because you nailed it. You nailed the box on that one. And it's a good segue into Christine's question, because Christine says, what advice do you give to someone just starting out as a paranormal investigator?
And that's a great question. Absolutely. So the first thing I would say is you do need to go in with the right intentions. Again, that wanting to help, the love of finding answers, and really go into it with that mindset rather than going into trying to be scared on a Saturday night, right? If that's your goal, then go find a haunted house somewhere. And then the next thing I would say is just have patience, because again, it's not something that wraps up in 60 minutes. You're not going to find the answers in 60 minutes, right? So you've got to have patience doing this. I've talked to several members of different teams that contact me and say, we've been on 4 investigations so far and we haven't caught anything. And it's just like, this isn't something that you're always going to get evidence, right? You're not always going to get some type of weird anomaly, but think about what you're doing, right? You're in a location that has a historical significance, that has a historical story and narrative.
Yep.
That right there should be the goal, to be in these locations. And then after that the drive should be to find paranormal activity and paranormal evidence. So that's what I've told these people. Just, you've got to have patience. It will come. You've just got to, you will find something if you just keep asking the right questions, but you have to have patience with it.
Well, plus, if we had all the answers, we wouldn't be doing this anymore.
Right.
Well, absolutely. Right. Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. And, not everybody has the same technique and style. As I mentioned earlier, I love the spirit box, but I'm sure once I say that, I'm going to have 50 people saying that I hate it. But I don't have to be like everybody else. And that's the beauty of what we do, right? So I can go to Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary tonight and set up all of my equipment, and I'll get something, right? I'll get something unexplainable. You can go to Brushy Mountain the next night, set up your equipment in the exact same location, and you're never going to get the same paranormal activity that I got, or the same evidence that I got. It's going to be different. It's going to be unique to you and your investigation.
Right.
And so that's something that, it is completely unique to the paranormal community. So your techniques are great for you. My techniques are great for me. It doesn't make us better than the other.
Right.
I mean, who's to say what the greatness of an EVP is? I mean, is your EVP greater than my EVP? No. It's different. And so that's why, if you're having a hard time in this community, you have to put the egos aside and realize that we are different. We're not going to get the same stuff, but that's the exciting part about this.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. Vinny said he had a customer wanting to return a K2 because he didn't catch any ghosts.
Defective.
Yeah, right.
Damn K2.
Well, Christy, I want to thank you for hanging out with us tonight. It really was a pleasure meeting you and get to learn about, your group and you and your sister. And we definitely look forward to meeting you in October.
Yeah, what a great personality.
Oh, well, thanks. Yeah, it was great
fun.
talking to you guys, and everybody in the chat room. Thank you so much for hanging with us tonight and asking all your questions. We really do appreciate the support.
Yep, absolutely. And don't forget to go subscribe to Soul Sisters Paranormal. Check it out. And we will see you in New Mexico.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll see you in New Mexico.
How much time we have now? What, about a month and a half? Is it that?
Yeah,
it's getting close.
About a month and a half,
So-
yeah.
It's coming up pretty fast.
That'll be cool.
So yeah, it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank
We
you.
appreciate it. And we'll see you in October.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Have a great
All
night.
right, Tony,
Thank
you
you.
too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Very cool.
I was hoping we'd see some doors slamming behind her and all that stuff.
That's awesome. What
That would have been fun.
She's got such a great personality.
Oh, she
It's very,
does.
very cool.
Great
Very cool.
guest.
I love meeting
So-
new people and talking to new people. It's so much fun getting to learn,
Mhm.
about the different groups and everything. I'm sorry, I cannot talk tonight. I'm just tired.
You didn't drink enough beer.
That's probably what it is. I didn't drink enough beer. Been getting these unusual storms here in Arizona, which has been keeping us up at night. So
I got to finish off this can.
you better.
Oh, I think I did. Or is it this one? Oh,
While
it's
you-
this one.
While you're doing
There we
that,
go.
I want to run the Paracon commercial
Oh,
that we
yeah.
did. So let's go ahead and run that real quick, and then we'll come back. So
Okay.
if you guys didn't hear about the Paracon, here it is. Had to put that little touch on the end there.
It's so spooky.
But no, it's gonna be a great time. It really is. And Vicky's putting this whole thing on, and we absolutely adore Vicky. The few times we got to hang with her at the jail, and it's just been a pleasure, and it's gonna be a lot of fun doing this Paracon. This will be our first Paracon that we're actually participating in. So
Yeah. Had the Rona not happened, this would be our
second
second or third.
or third, yeah,
Who
it'd probably be our
knows?
third. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Hope you guys can make it. I hope we see you there. Love to see everybody. It'd be really cool. And with that in mind, right around the corner, speaking of,
Oh, yes.
we have our Parapalooza coming up on September 24th to the 26th. We still have slots open. So
Mike.
yeah, Mike, what's up with that? You gotta get your time slot, man. So yeah, if you're interested in hosting an hour and talking about a specific topic, please hit us up. Let us know. Just email us. I'm not going to put the form up because that didn't work out too good. I could throw
We'll
it
just
back out
mark
there.
you in.
We'll just mark you in. So let us know what day you'd like to do. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. We're running from 11 to 6, and each of your spots will be an hour. We're also looking for somebody to host Friday and Saturday. Papa Joey and I are doing Sunday.
Yeah, we'll have food
So-
trucks and balloon tires or balloon
Balloon animals.
animal
Really? Who's doing
artists.
that? Where's the food truck going?
I don't know. Hopefully parked out front of your
Right.
house.
A couple of taco trucks or something for the day. No, it's gonna be a lot of fun. This will be our third Parapalooza that we've done, and we always have some really, really good guests on, and it's always a lot of fun.
They've all been great.
Yeah, they've all been
So far.
great. So we're looking forward to that, as well as the Paracon the following week, and then the week after
Yes.
that, we'll be in Vulture City.
Yeah.
We got a busy couple of months coming.
I know it. Wow.
Jeez. And then we still got to somehow find a way to put out episodes in between, which we still haven't done.
I know we've got lots of evidence.
We got a lot of evidence we got to go through. We just don't have the time. That's the worst
Wow.
part. So,
Well, we got a sneak peek at one of our speakers or lecturers. What would you
yes.
want to call it? A lecturer?
Lecture, speaker?
Speaker?
I like speakers.
At Paracon?
Speaker's good. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
so next week you'll get to meet somebody else.
Yep. We have Miranda on next week.
Ghost biker.
So that's going to be a lot of fun too.
So
one-
this was just kind of a tease for next week's then, right? The
yeah, the beer.
being
Yeah,
the ghost rider.
right. I'll go with that. I'm going with
Okay.
that. All right. So that's going to do it for us tonight. This is TTABA, the Unexplained.
Yes. And thank you to Christy again.
Yes. Thank you, Christy,
That
for
was-
coming on with us. We really
That was
appreciate
awesome.
it. And we will see you guys next week. Looking forward to it. Until then, cheers everybody. We'll see you.